people. Those who know me, I will talk your ear off until you fall asleep, and I'll then talk in my own sleep. That's how much I love to speak. I hate email. I would prefer to actually hop on the phone, call people up and speak with them. So my superpower is being able to speak. And I can talk underwater, I talk in my sleep, and I've actually had people who are like, hurry up, can you hurry up and end your story? Because I just love to tell stories as well. Now, the reason why this is an important prologue is I have a stutter. And I wasn't always able to actually speak as fluently as I am now. At the moment, I'm in a heightened state of awareness, and I've had a long day watching 2 seasons of Game of Thrones, and it makes me stutter when I become really relaxed. If I'm over the moon, if I'm smiling and I'm happy, I stutter. If I'm angry, I stutter. So what I thought I would do tonight is just sort of tell you a series of short stories about what it's like to be a stutterer and how that's sort of made me who I am, and how it's given me this wonderful superpower that I have where I'll talk you all to sleep. So I'll start with when I was in school. I used to be like, I was small and I had hair then, and I was really short, really skinny, and with my stuttering, it was actually quite severe. And I can actually switch off my fluency for a minute, and if it makes you uncomfortable, I apologise. I'm all right with it. You'll see me flush out of a reaction, but I'll give you an example of how I used to speak as a youngster. Actually, when I say youngster, I lie. It's how I used to speak up until I was about 31 years of age. So I've just got to turn off this little thing I do before I speak. My name is Nathan. Imagine if I was to tell a story like that all night. You'd be here until tomorrow morning. And so when I was in class, and the teacher would mark the roll, and they would call out your name on the first day of school. I hated having to say here because H was a problem for me. And so what would happen is all the kids would be all like, as soon as they was getting down a list to Harvey, they'd all turn and look, and they'd be like all the new kids, you have to watch this. This is amazing. And I'd be there, and my face is contorted. There's spit flying out, and there are times where I'd close my eyes, and when I open my eyes up, everybody's just looking at me like it's a reaction. And I went to when I was in primary school, they used to make you stand up a lot and talk in front of the class and do orals. And my mum, bless her heart, never wrote me a note. Like I'd come home from school and I'd say, "Oh, Mum, I've got to do an oral in English next week," and she goes, "Okay, cool. What's it about?" No, I've got to do an oral in front of everybody. And she goes, "Yeah, but what's it about?" "Australian history." "Excellent." So we go off to the news agency, and we would get all these little resources from the news agency, and I'd make up a chart, and all the other kids in the class wouldn't spend a lot of time on the chart, but I would, because I was trying to get them to look at the chart and not think so much about me. And so she never wrote me a note. So I had to stand up all through primary school and have these, and just sort of, and be doing these orals, and it was so humiliating, right? Has anybody ever seen the movie The King's Speech with Colin Firth? That is the most accurate portrayal of what a stutterer experiences. When I hear actors in movies who I know don't have a stuttering, I leave the movie. It's a little bit too personal, but this film, I stayed till the end. It was amazing. So that's a very accurate portrayal of what it's like to have a stutter. So I used to stand up in front of the class, just like in the King's Speech, and I'm pulling faces, my eyes are closed, I'm pointing at the chart, and I'm actually trying to get the kid in the front row to read it out for me, right? So I'm just trying to get them. I'm developing these little techniques to get other people to speak for me, and that evolved into when I was, when I was now grown up, and I've been through high school, and I've been through. The good thing about being a stutterer is you learn how to run fast in high school because the other kids are trying to beat you up, so you run really, really fast. So I actually became really, really fit in high school. And it also introduced me to the wonderful world of martial arts because every time a kid in high school would laugh at me, I'd hit them. But I couldn't fight that well, so Dad sent me off to martial arts classes, so I had a chance. And so I know, right? So I learned this wonderful. I learned how to fight, I learned how to run, and I made it through high school and uni. And after, by the time I finished university, I've developed these weird techniques of dealing with my stutter. So the first one was if I walked into a room and there was a group of people. I'm smiling because it looks so stupid now. I'd take out my wallet and I had my wallet in my hand, and it'd be like I was in the FBI. So I had my license there, and so see this wallet I wouldn't have bought this wallet when I needed it because I couldn't get my license out fast enough. So people would say, "Who are you?" And I'd go, "Oh," and hold out my license, right? I know, and so so you can just imagine it. I'm at a party. There's this beautiful woman who I'm thinking, oh, I really like her. I think I'm going to walk up and introduce myself to her. I'm just so happy they didn't never put their hands up, thinking that I'm under arrest. So I used to hold out my license a lot. When I started working, and people were giving me cards. When I got business cards, I was so relieved because I'd walk into an office, walk into a room really confident, and they'd say, "Hi, and I'd put a business card in their hand, like they had their hand open to shake my hand. I just put a business card in it. So I was like, where'd that come from? And how I actually came to work out how to do that is I learnt the hard way that as I stutter, all the muscles in my neck, in my chest, in my stomach, and they go all the way, and it goes all the way down my arms, everything becomes really tight. So there were these times I'd walk into an interview, for example, a job interview, and they'd say, "Hi, I'm Mark Smith," and I'd say, "Hi, I'd stutter on my name, and I'm crushing their hand." And so it was that bad that you have to run out of oxygen, almost pass out, and then you suddenly inhale. It's a reflex to inhale, and that's what releases it. So there was this poor man, we're in a job interview, and I grabbed his hand, and he's like this. He's like trying to get me to release his hand. He's freaking out. So that's when I started giving out cards to introduce myself to people. When I actually did get into relationships, I had a speech. I'm smiling because it seems so bizarre. So it's romantic, right? There's a candle there, and we're all sitting there, and she's looking into my eyes, and I'm looking into hers, and she's read my license, so she knows who I am, and I've just left her a business card, just so that she knows, and then I'd say to her, "Listen, I have some rules. All right, if you're going to hang out with me, I've got some rules." She goes, "What's that?" Number one, we never use the drive-through at Macca's, all right? So we've got to go in and order from the counter, and so I can actually point at what I want. Because the amount of times I was in the Macca's drive-through and you'd pull up, and they'd say, "Can I help you?" And you're like, and I'm like, I really wanted a quarter pounder, but the cur was a bit bad that day, so I ended up going home with a fillet of fish, because that's the word that would come out under the pressure of the situation. And so I said to her, "Look, I don't really like fillet of fishes. I haven't had a quarter pounder in a couple of years, so can you order for me?" And then the next thing is, if we're in a restaurant, like I want when the waiter comes, can you order for me as well? Like I'll point, but you actually have to give the order because I don't want to humiliate myself. If it sort of moves it to the point where we're in the same house together and we're like living together, if the telephone rings, can you answer the phone? Because if that person is a stranger or they're a telemarketer, it's a nightmare. And so, believe it or not, I had these wonderful women in my life, not all at once, but I had these wonderful women in my life who were like, "Oh yeah, easy, no problem," and they were so awesome at it. The problem was that by me, like, I was more confident as a young person with my stutter because Mum hadn't written the notes, but I'd become less confident as an adult because I was able to avoid it. I had my driver's license and I had my business cards and I had people ordering food for me. A fully grown man had people ordering food for him. And it was like that until I turned 31. And something amazing happened when I turned 31. I got this haircut, And that just sort of, you know, a bald-headed, skinny man with a stutter just has a ring to it. But the other thing that happened was there was this one night I couldn't sleep, and it was about 3 a.m. in the morning, and I'd woken up and I turned on TV, and in amongst all those stupid Danos Direct ads, there was this little short news story about a small group of people who had come up with a way to help stutterers speak fluently. And I thought to myself, geez, like that, I think I need that, because about a month beforehand, I'd been in my car and I'd been out with my mates, and it was about 2 in the morning, and a police car had pulled me over. And they were doing a random breath test, because anybody out that late's probably had a few drinks. And when they asked for my license, I gave them my license, and the police, usually see if it's your license, if it's real or whatever. So they ask you your name, your address, and your phone number. Now, my stutter was like, because I'm as a policeman now, I've done nothing wrong, but I'm a bit sort of tense and I'm tired. They actually took me out of the car, sat me on the side of the road, and they searched my car because they thought I may have been on something. And I was using my stutter to try and fool them. That's what they actually thought. So that's when I thought I need to go and investigate how to actually, to make this thing, to at the very least improve it. So I've seen this thing on TV a month after the police incident, and I thought, okay, yeah, I'll do this. And it was a speech course in Adelaide. Now, when I arrived in Adelaide, it was the first time I'd been in a room with about the same number of people here, and they're all stutterers. I was the only stutterer I knew, right? And so here I am thinking I'm all unique, and I'm the only one who can't order his food at Macca's, and I've got to give my business card out to people. But in actuality, I'm standing in a room full of people who were doing the same things I was doing, and there were people who had it worse than me. There was this poor man. He was in his late 50s. Whenever he started, he'd stick out his tongue, and this guy, he should have been in movies because this tongue was massive, and he would. The ones that they make in Sweden, yeah. So what happened is he would stutter and he'd be poking out his tongue, and so there'd be people talking to him, and he would just be poking out his tongue, trying to get words out. There was this other person there who would hide his stutter behind a sneeze, and he would pretend to sneeze. So he'd go, "Achoo, my name is Achoo. My name is Achoo," and he'd repeat that until he's trying to say his own name. So here I am thinking, oh my God, like I should go home. I haven't got my tongue sticking out. I'm not sneezing. Like I got absolutely nothing to worry about. And I love to talk to people. It just takes me a little bit longer than others, and the police have a bit of fun with it. But apart from that, I think I'm okay. I should go home. I'm all right. And then the guy that ran the course walked up and introduced himself to me, and I took out my business card, and he looked at my business card and he went, "I've left my reading glasses at home. Who are you?" And he stood there and he waited for me to get caught and to stutter, and he waited, and it was the most beautiful thing I'd ever experienced, because here's a person not hurrying me up. Or wondering what's going on, or pulling a face. This person was like, "No, you just take your time. I've got all night." And that was the thing about the course. Now, I won't go into all the details of the things that I'd learnt, but I had actually gone to this course in Adelaide with one aim to achieve, and that was I wanted to, at the very least, be able to say my own name. That was the thing that I wanted the most. And they had me saying my own name in the first 15 minutes of the course. So once again, I'm thinking, it's time to go home, Nathan. Like you're all good. Within an hour, the first hour, they had me actually saying my name and my address. There was all these like restaurants. I could say Quarter Pounder now. I could, when people asked me what was your favourite movie, I wasn't saying Twilight anymore. I could say Star Wars now. So I was actually able to be honest about the things that I like, because I could actually say those words. And what I want you to think about is I gave you a small sample of what I used to talk like on a really bad day, like it was a sliding scale. And then I want you to think about how you've heard me speak this evening. In 4 days, that was that transformation, all right? Like, I now stutter. Yep, I sure do, and I love it. And I'm very comfortable with it, and I love talking to people. And I love talking to people so much that after that course, I actually started to look for another career. And I thought, I've got to do this. I've got to talk fluently forever. So like, I need to keep working on this. What jobs can I do? They won't hire me in radio because I'll still get caught. I don't really like politics. Stuntmen don't really talk a lot, so I can't do stuntman. And then I thought, oh my God, I'll be a high school teacher, because then that forces me to talk, and I've got to be really honest about my speech. And so a short while later, I became a high school teacher. And so I'm still a high school teacher now, and I talk every day, and I communicate with people, and I love, my favourite thing to do is to stand up on the high school parade, and there's 1,400 students plus 100 staffs. There's 1,500 people in one place every Thursday morning, and I stand up there and I walk out on stage, and I've noticed that like there's the principal, there's the deputy principals, they get a little bit nervous and they start sort of looking out over the younger kids to make sure that no one's going to laugh. And I'll stand up there and I'll pause and I'll look out and I'll sort of take in the energy of the room, and then I will talk, and I'll say what needs to be said, and then I walk off with my head high and my shoulders right back. Now, my superpower is my stutter because of one very, very good reason. Before I did that speech course, I had lived in fear. I was scared of the drive-through. I was scared of the phone. I was scared of meeting new people. I was scared of having to actually be honest about myself and about things in my life. I was scared that someone would ask me my name. I was scared of my own name for 31 years, scared of my own name. And doing that course took away the fear, and it took away the fear of my stutter. And my stutter has actually made me stronger. And so I want anyone out there who has a fear, right? Like, there are people out there that have things that make them an individual. There are some people who don't fit into a bikini and never ever will. That's your superpower. You don't be scared of that. That makes you who you are. There are people out there with long hair, some people with short hair. There's even people in the room with no hair. And it's who you are. It's what makes you as an individual, and that's actually quite empowering. And you've got to own who you are. And that superpower of owning my stutter has taken away any fear that I ever had. The only things I'm scared of now is fire. Not fire, sorry, spiders. I don't like spiders. Spiders scare the hell out of me. And I don't like it when I'm watching a movie and there's a little creepy little kid doing that little evil little laugh. I don't like that. But apart from those two things, I'm okay. And so you should all go home tonight feeling all right about that. But I want anybody out there that if you have a fear, or if you look in the mirror and you don't like what you see, or if you don't like what you hear, own it, right? Be proud of it. It's your individual. Use it as your superpower. There are some people who won't fit into bikinis ever. There are some people who won't ever. I don't know. They'll always need to wear glasses to read. Who cares, right? There are worse things to be scared of out there. And I just want you to go out there and just be proud of who you are. And please, when you look in the mirror or you hear yourself on the phone, just embrace your individuality. Embrace your individuality. That's really, really important. And that's why my stutter is my superpower. The epilogue to my story is, on the last day of school before the holidays, one of my colleagues, she is over 6 feet tall. She plays women's soccer at a very high level. She's always coming to school with like a black eye or bruises from playing soccer. And on the last day of school, she pulled me aside. She says, "Hey, Nathan, look, can we just come to an understanding?" I said, "What's that?" She goes, "Well, there's some people from overseas coming into the school after the holidays, and ever since I heard about it in March, I've been freaking out because it's my turn to talk on parade. And she says to me, can you do it? Can you talk on parade for me? Because I'm just too scared of that. And I looked at her and I said to her, do you have a stutter? She says, no. I said, well, what are you going to be scared of? Just get up there and talk. She goes, no, I can't. Can you do it? Because you do it so well. So I'll leave it at that, everybody. Have a wonderful night. Thank you very much.